Welcome to the live. I am excited to be here. If you are catching me live, go ahead and let me know. Say something in the comments. Say hi. Tell me what you're up to. Tell me how excited you are to join my program, Manifest, so that next year, you're going to be making more money than you did this last year. Now, if you're catching the replay, hi, it's awesome you're here. Can't wait to see what you do with this information, but I want you to go ahead and type replay in the comments. Now, Today, I want to be talking about something that I think is really important to us: money. I think money is pretty important to us, right? We're not in businesses for no reason. I think every single one of us wants to make more money in a single year. I think we want to make more money than we did last year, but we also don't want to be overworked. And so today, I want to talk about how we can make more money without creating more busy work for ourselves. I want to talk about how you can kind of change some things up for next year right off the bat. Again, my hit this week, I mean, you guys have been in the middle of promo week. You've seen it. I've talked about basically, listen, if you're not happy where you are now this year, then why would you continue doing the same thing next year? We're gonna run through some really, really awesome things that I've done in my business over the last couple of years that have really helped. I'm gonna run you through a couple of my core beliefs on getting more income coming in. Again, if you're just joining us, go ahead and type hello in the comments and let me know what you're up to. Again, super excited you're here. I can see Tyler's in. This is something I think that we should all kind of actively be searching for. Like, what's the next thing? What can we do better? What can we do that increases the bottom line but doesn't increase the misbalance in our lives? Because all of us are going around pretty unbalanced most of the time, myself included. Okay, myself included. All right, a little bit too much work, not enough play. Some people say would make me a dull boy, but that's not the case. Instead, it just makes me really tired. With that said, kind of get into the content here, right? So I've got 10 things we're going to talk about, and then at the end of it, we're going to go through a couple of things that are inside of Manifest, and we're going to actually look at the back end of the new video course that we have. Now, it's not really new. People have gone through it before. It's just not the live version, which I personally believe is much better because you can ask questions and be with me directly. But this specifically today, let's talk about 10 ways to make some more money next year. All right, so let's pull up Keynote here. There it is. Perfect. So here's the deal, right? We're all the way at the beginning now. All the way to the beginning. And here it goes. How to increase revenue next year, right? It's important. We all want to make more money next year. And so the first thing I think you should do is you should know your numbers. You should have some sort of margin. Like, listen, it's not just about knowing just the numbers of what you're charging and how much you're making money, how much money you're making on either side of your business. It's also about how long things take you and what you're doing that's like busy work and what should be kind of removed. Again, let's talk about this thing called profit margin. I'm hoping this is not a foreign concept to you. If it is, you really, really need to talk to me about your business. Profit margin is important, right? It's the amount by which revenue from sales exceeds cost in a business. So it means this is the money that you actually get to keep, not the money that it costs to do something. And by the way, I want you to start inside of this revenue margin thing. I want you to start really realizing that you have to be paid hourly. You do have to be paid as a business owner. So that is part of your cost. There is profit above that as well. And that's not a greed thing. A lot of times when you don't have a profit margin, you actually can't serve your clients better. And what I mean by this is so let's say something crazy happens. I don't know. Let's call it a pandemic, right? And so one thing that happened for me in the pandemic was I shot a lot of weddings. Okay. I didn't really have a lot of cancellations. I still kind of made sure that the business was afloat and I still was sought after. Now, the reason that I was sought after is because I charged enough with my clients to make sure that they didn't have to move their date and lose me as a photographer. I had enough margin to go, it's okay. We'll just bump you to the next year. Now, did it suck for me at the time? Yes. But without that margin, I wasn't going to be able to serve those clients better. And really, the best thing you can do is serve your clients. And by not having a profit, you're not doing it, right? If I'm not making enough money, I can't move their date. I can't handle things that change. I can't handle if they cancel. I can't make enough money to feed myself. So then I'm going to come into the wedding really tired and hungry. And honestly, Tyler can vouch. That's not good for anybody. So we have profit margin, right? And what should we know about our profit margin? Like, how long does it take me to complete each test? So how long does it take you to edit a wedding? How long does it take you to color correct? How long does it take you to call? How long does it take you to, kind of deliver the album itself? How long does it take you to design an album? How long does it take you to do really anything inside your business? You need to make sure that you have enough profit in there. what's your reasonable hourly rate? Like, what are you paying yourself? You should be paying yourself a pretty decent amount. Tyler says, Roy, tired and hungry is my worst nightmare. Yeah, 100%. This is facts. This is absolute facts. I am I'm an asshole when I'm hungry, and that's just it's just part of life, right? So continuing on, like, what's my hourly rate? What should I be paid? What items or services are needed to complete each task, and how much do they cost per wedding? Like, listen, if you're delivering an album with every wedding, you got to know how much it costs to create that album, have it sent, have it delivered, possibly even have enough margin in there to cover a reprint if you need to, and how long that all takes. Like, if you don't know what all these numbers are, then you're just going to run yourself into a hole. And by the way, like, $100 profit is usually not enough for an album. You got to be making a significantly higher amount to that album. I have an 80% margin, profit margin on my wedding albums, because that takes into account the design of things. It takes into account the shipping and all that other stuff that the client doesn't need to know about. I just have it handled. And so what's next, right? Like, what do we do after the profit? Well, how about you set your client expectations better? How about we explain how long things take and what they're giving up when they give up those things, so that they know what their actual choice is. So when you're going through, like, your weddings, you should be setting up, I don't know, timelines. If you're going to be charging by the hour, right? You should be showing your clients what additional coverage costs at, like, the start of that relationship. Like, hey, this is my a la carte stuff. If we run over on time and you want me to stay extra, this is how much it's going to cost. Conversely, if you're not going through a wedding timeline with them, then you need to be explaining, like, what's in the wedding timeline, how long, what's the time being used for. What they're excluding from coverage if they do accept less coverage. Like, I tell my clients point blank, like, listen, if you only have 6 hours in your day, we are either cutting part of reception or we're cutting getting ready. These are the moments that could happen at that time. If you're not explaining that, then they don't really know what kind of decisions they're making. They're not making an informed choice. They're just guessing. You don't want your clients to be guessing. If they need extra coverage, they need to be aware of how much it's going to cost and how it's going to be billed when added on the day of. So, like, if you're at a wedding and someone goes like, hey, I really want you to stay for an extra hour, is that okay? You have to already set your rules that, yes, it is okay, but here's how much that extra hour is going to cost, and here's how it's going to be billed. If it's not okayed, if they don't have that expectation, if you haven't set them up in their consultation of how much that's going to cost, then you're just going to sticker shock them, and quite frankly, you're going to create a bad memory for them on their wedding day. Now, it's important, though, you stick to your cost. If you do charge for an extra hour, then in most cases, you need to make sure that you're billing them. Now, it's okay to gift them, like, maybe 1 extra hour, but if they want an extra 2 hours, you got to be billing them for that stuff. You already set the expectation when you meet them first. That's why it's really important. If you don't do all this stuff, you're just going to create really, really angry clients, which is going to lead to less referrals. It's going to lead to a worse memory for them on their wedding day, and nobody wants that. Now let's talk about how we actually get that client in the first place, right? Like, we talked about a little bit about, like, setting expectations, but what about actually booking them? Well, when you're booking somebody, you don't want to give them reasons to say no, right? We don't want to charge like a percentage, right? Because here's the deal. When you charge a percentage, math is hard. Nobody likes when you make them do math. I promise. I've had students do it in the profit section of my of Manifest. It's not the most fun part of the course. It's not, because you're looking at math and you have to do math, and that's no fun. But when you're talking to a client and you're like, hey, listen, you could have $3,000 of coverage, or you could have $10,000 of coverage, but the retainer is going to be 50%. Well, now I'm trying to decide whether I want to give you $1,500 or I want to give you $5,000. $5,000 is a lot to come up with, like, right off the bat. So you're creating a very, very, very easy no, right? So I don't see actually I don't know who said this, but somebody in the Facebook group said a flat rate retainer was one of the best changes I made to my booking process. Yeah, because it creates an easy yes. You're not asking for, like, a bunch of, different math equations. Like, again, and also, like, let's just say this, like, I don't typically have just $5,000 I can just give someone right off the bat, but your clients typically will have access to something like $1,000 flat retainer, which is what I charge. And so the deal is that when you confuse, you lose, right? Charging percentages for retainers makes the client do math. Nobody likes math, and then all of a sudden they're gone. So stop doing this. This is hurting your business. It's hurting your yeses. I want you to have that easy yes, and the best way to do it is give them a number that makes sense, that's also going to protect your business to an extent. So a non-refundable retainer of like $1,000, that's still some money. But it also doesn't make the client sit there and go like, well, I don't know, do I have this in my account, or does this work? No, $1,000 is a fairly easy yes for most clients. Now, I know if you're charging like $2,000 to start with, that might seem like a crazy kind of idea, but the fact is, you need to raise your prices. Honestly, if you're at $2,000, I need you to raise your prices. Come on, step up. You can do better. If you're a good photographer, if you have good work, if you believe in your work, then you can charge more than that. And so let's talk about albums now, right? What's the next thing we can do? We can over-deliver on album designs. When we're under-delivering, like let's say a client has 40 pages in their book and you only deliver 40 pages. Well, first of all, unless you're some sort of mind reader, you don't know what you're actually putting in that book matters to the clients. So like your favorite picture may not be their favorite picture. I'm going to tell you, as a photographer who likes really, really kind of creative compositions and things, those are not always my clients' favorite images. Now, they like those images. They're not mad that I put them in their album, but they're not going to be their favorite. A lot of times the boring image is their favorite. The one where like they're looking right at the camera and they're smiling, or it's just like this really basic moment that they have some sort of core memory to, that I might have or understand, but I might have not put that in the book. And so when you over deliver, it has a lot of benefits, right? So even if your client books a collection without an album, I want you to start offering complimentary album design. Why? Because once they see it, they're going to want it. Okay? Once they see it, they're going to want it. Courtney says, boring pictures. Yeah, no, listen, I will not lie. A lot of weddings, the majority of the pictures are boring pictures. They are. They're just genuinely kind of boring pictures. They're flat, or they're just like looking straight at the camera. Table shots is a perfect example of like photos that I like bore the living shit out of me. Cannot stand table shots. Don't like those at all, but I will do them because they're important to the client. Now, why am I offering complimentary album design? Because if they come in and they don't have an album in their package, which most of my packages do have an album, if they come in and they don't have that, then I can show them a possible album design. That way, at the end of it, if they change their mind, I already have a design ready for them and they're able to make that upgrade. Again, this is about making sure that we're serving them, not just selling them. If they have an included album, then you want to design an album with the highest number of possible pages. So like if someone says, they get a 40-page album, what I like to do is I like to have 80 pages designed. That way they can expand on it. The better your design is, the more likely they are to upgrade and have the album tell the story that they actually want to tell, which is important when you're selling something that's going to last them 100 years. And the idea is that they're going to be passing it down. You want them to be able to tell the story that they want to tell. And if you just do exactly what's in the contract, you're probably going to miss a few important moments to them. And you got to remember, too, you're not a mind reader. You don't really know what exactly it is that they want, and you're just giving them options. It's not a forced thing. You're not saying, oh, you can't delete this page. You're not saying, oh, you have to have it, but you are giving them the option, right? And so then we want to show them all the possibilities by having an 8-inch, a 10-inch, and a 12-inch book in front of them, or at least on the screen, if you're doing it over Zoom, to look through as you go through the design process, so they can kind of see like, oh, okay, so if I go for this first one, the small book, the 8-inch book, then I'm really missing out on the thicker pages, and here's the leather design on the 10-inch, and oh, wow, it tells a lot more story here, and then, wow, the 12-inch really tells the full story. It tells everything that you need to know. That's important. It's really, really important for them to see that. They don't know what they don't know, and if you're not presenting it, you're missing out on extra money. Which again, I'm hoping you're in your business to make money. If you're in your business to struggle, that's on you. That's your choice. By the way, if you want to get better at your album design process, inside of Manifest, we have an entire hour-long thing called the Premier Workflow that explains my exact process for it, even like the steps leading up to that day, so you can actually have album sales and they don't feel like they're this heavy-hitting thing for clients where they're oh, if I don't get this, I'm going to be screwed. No, it's a whole process you can go through. It's going to make you more money. The first year I added in albums, I made it like an extra $72,000 just from album sales. And I was selling them to past clients and current clients. Automate, delegate, and eliminate. Oh, okay. So we got something else from Aaron, I believe. I've been designing 80-page albums this whole season, and it's for sure, faux show, led to plenty of upgrades. Even if they upgrade nothing else about the album, yeah, because you're giving them the option. You're allowing them to see like possibilities. Again, I don't know what their favorite images from their first look are necessarily going to be. And it's important to show them some different options, some different design things. Maybe they like a photo. Maybe they like just 6 pages on that, or 6 images on that page. Maybe they only want 2 images on that page. I'm not going to judge them for either one. Neither one's like the right or wrong answer, but I want to make sure they have those options there. So then we have my favorite thing. This is my favorite thing I've ever put into my business. Okay. It's called Automate, Delegate, and Eliminate. And this is something I learned from a book called The 4-Hour Workweek. And now I've since taken it and modified it to my own liking. But essentially, the idea is you're going to start writing out tasks, like everything that you do in your business. And you're going to highlight things that you love doing, and you're going to highlight things that you hate doing, and you're going to highlight things that are wasting time. And anything you don't like doing, you're going to either automate, delegate, or eliminate it based on whether or not it actually needs to be done. Okay? Once this is actually put into the into your system, you're going to start seeing like, oh, okay, my efficiency is going to go up, because you're going to start focusing on the things that actually you make the biggest impact on. Right? The more focused you are on things that you actually make impacts are, and the less busy work you're doing, the more effective you're going to be. And so right here, stop trying to do everything in your business. Okay? When you do this, when you're doing everything in your business, right? You're trying to save pennies at the cost of making dollars. Yeah, you're like hoarding pennies. Like you're like, oh no, I need all these 100 pennies. But meanwhile, you're like letting $10 go out the door, or you're letting thousands of dollars go out the door, depending on how you're doing this. A really great example of this, for the longest time, I was like, oh, I have to design my own albums. No, I don't. I'm not an album designer. I'm a photographer. The best thing that I can do is create the best images possible and make sure the client feels happy when they see it. And one thing I can do that's better for them and for me is having someone professionally go through and design an album that they're going to love, and I can modify and adjust if I need to. But I can get it off my plate so it actually does go better. It does sell better. Here's some things you don't really need to do, right? Or things that you might be doing that you should be doing some other things for. So one thing I think you need to do, right? We get a lot of emails that are fairly similar. Like we get a lot of question emails, or we get like onboarding emails, like what happens when they book you, or what happens when their contract's signed, or all things like that. You need to be creating email templates and using them. Okay, those are interactions that you're going to do a lot, and so those things, like for example, when someone books me, I have an email that goes out that explains that they're booked and they have a wedding photographer, their contract's been signed, the retainer's been paid, and here's what the next steps are. It takes a lot of time to continuously rewrite that email. It's a pretty long email. It's like it's a fairly long email, and so like before, when I was doing this on my own, I was just spending a lot of time writing emails. The more I can like create better, more creative, more interesting emails and just have them kind of ready to go when someone asks me a question, the faster I can respond to my clients, the happier my clients are going to be. Services like Calendly to run my calendar. Listen, if I don't use Calendly, I forget a lot of things. I forget a lot of conversations. I forget a lot of, oh yeah, I said I would meet this person. If it's not in Calendly and if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist at this point. This is going to help you block time out and use your time more efficiently. It's also going to help remind your clients of when they're supposed to meet with you. I have not had anyone ghost me on a timeline meeting since using Calendly for timeline meetings. Same thing for booking appointments. I have it send them a text the week of, and then one day before, and then 2 hours before. They get all 3 times so that they know when the meeting is and there's no reason for them to miss it. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten oh, thank you so much for having this. I completely forgot. I don't know who commented bananas, but that's great. That's great. Love that. Hire a CPA for taxes. Okay, so here's the deal. I used to think I was really good at taxes, and here's a fact. I'm not. I'm not great at taxes. There are people that have taken courses and have certifications and know more about laws in certain states than I know, and I should really be delegating that information, because I'm going to be honest with you, I would be popular in prison for the wrong reasons, and I really don't want to go to prison. So that's something else I would be sending out. I'd be automating or delegating that out. I don't want to do my taxes anymore. I want someone else to do them. I want to check them and make sure that I'm not going to go to prison or that they're not doing anything shady, but I really want to have someone else take care of this. Same thing for album design. Again, we talked about this. I'm not a great album designer. I want someone else to design this album so that I can serve the client better, and I'm not spending more time doing it. Tyler says, you told them to comment banana if they want the replay. Well, if they're watching this live, then they don't need the replay because they're seeing it right now, but we'll still tag you in it afterwards. Love that, but I completely forgot about the banana thing. All right, so I want you to start creating efficient workflows and automate the things you can automate and delegate what you can't automate, okay? All the things you don't love doing, and then eliminate whatever doesn't matter in the first place. Listen, I did a lot of shit that didn't matter in the first place. I'm going to just go ahead and say it. For the most part, right? For the most part, I didn't need Pinterest. I don't. And I really don't need Instagram. Honestly, I have it there for like a backlink for the most part. And every once in a while I'll get like 3 or 4 shots. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. Let me post it on Instagram. I don't actually care if I get likes anymore, but I eliminated that whole process. Like there's no need for it. If I want to do it, it's there, but I don't need to have those 2 things. I don't use Pinterest anymore. I don't use Instagram. I don't go through and like, this is one thing I think you'd really cut out right now. If you are inside of bridal groups and you see a bride say, I'm looking for a photographer on XYZ date, and there are 900 comments underneath it from other photographers that says dumb shit like, I would love to be the photographer for your day. First of all, of course you would. That would pay your bills. Second of all, stop doing this. If you want to do something that actually makes an impact in those groups, I want you to go post some tips. Like, here's how you have a really least stressful day. Here's how you can get married at XYZ venue. Here's what you should be looking for with a venue. Here's what you should be looking for in a planner. Like, start creating good content for that group, and they'll start seeing you as an authority figure and start reaching out to you rather than you reaching out to them. Essentially, when you're just jumping underneath someone, I need a photographer on XYZ date, you're like asking to beg. That's really what's going on there, because they're going to have plenty of choices to get a photographer at whatever budget they want to be at. I'm not saying it doesn't work sometimes, but honestly, stop. And so let's keep this in mind too. You are significantly more efficient and impactful when you are doing the things you are best at doing. If you are focusing on the things you are best at, you're going to make more money. It just makes more sense. Again, if you really think about it, like giant corporations that do things, like there's not one guy who's doing every single job that's there, right? There's a bunch of people helping out to make sure that the product runs efficiently, that it gets out to the clients, and they actually are making sales. You can outsource a lot of that stuff. You can automate a lot of that stuff. There's no reason for you to wear every hat in your business. This is a very common problem for photographers. Moving on. All work and no play makes you sad and broke. Facts, okay? I overwork a lot. Okay. It's not good. Okay. If I don't focus on, a few things, then I'm not effective and I'm not very good at my job. A couple of those things are like play, like having fun, going out to see a movie, going to ride roller coasters, going for a walk, hanging out with friends, going to the bar or going to a bonfire, or just, really hanging out. When I skip this stuff, I'm not inspired to create better things. I'm just working a lot, and I'm not more efficient when I'm working more than when I'm working 24/7. I'm not better at my job because I'm working more than anyone else is. That's not something to like plant your flag on. It's not a benefit. I don't want to be the hardest worker in the wedding industry. What I want to be is I want to be the most efficient worker that's getting what I want to get done. That's what I want to be. So there's something called Parkinson's law. Now, this is actually probably my favorite law to kind of that I've learned about, right? And it basically just says work expands to the time you give it. Now, the best example for this would be for me back in the day when I was in school, because believe it or not, I did actually learn things from school. I was the kid that like literally like, okay, an hour before class, all right, I got to give a speech in 20 minutes. What do I do? Here's 5 or 6 points, and I'll just kind of make it up as I go. Now, to be honest with you, it did work. I could get that work done in that amount of time. Is that what I recommend? No. But the more time I give something to, the more time I like give to a certain project, the more time I use, right? And so, for example, if someone is given a week to complete a task that should really only take a day to finish, they'll often end up unnecessarily stretching out the task, so it'll take them the whole week to complete it. That's me every time. Every time I've said to a client, I have 10 weeks to deliver your images, I'm going to take the full 10 weeks. I take the full 10 weeks. Really, I could probably get it done within about a week or two and then just have everything ready and then do a check at the end of it so that I'm ready to go. But instead, I like stressing the shit out of myself and making sure that I'm getting everything done like 24 hours before I'm supposed to meet them. That's not ideal. Don't do that. What I'm saying is give yourself some false deadlines. So start saying like, all right, well, I might have 10 weeks for the client to see them, but I only have 2 weeks for me to have them done. This kind of eliminates your procrastination. If you only have 2 weeks to get them done, I guarantee you're going to edit those images in 2 weeks. This doesn't even have to be about editing images. This could be setting out contracts. This could be changing your email stuff. Like if you just say like, oh, it's not that important, I could take my time on it. No, get it done. Give yourself an actual deadline. And then all of a sudden you're not going to be stretching that project out that could have taken you 10 or 15 minutes to like several weeks. And so let's talk about the rule of 50. This is important. Okay. After 50 hours, you're less effective. You are not effective after you work more than 50 hours. There are tons and tons of studies that actually prove this. Okay. Play again is an important part of life. You're more creative when you enjoy life more. You're more creative when you've spent some time on self-care. You're more important when you've spent some time to be a human. Life should come first, right? If we're talking about a highlight of like a hierarchy of business, your mindset should be everything. Your relaxation should be next. Then your self-care should be right underneath that. And then finally is where the work should be. It should not be the first thing on the top. because again, you're not going to be effective if you're not taking care of those other aspects of life. I'm not sure if this is Aaron. It could be Aaron. It could be somebody else. But it says the editing is me telling myself a me deadline doesn't work though. I'm working on it. Yeah, it's a process. It's not something that's easy right off the bat. But what I like to do is I have a midway point where I do kind of screenshot the gallery to the client. Like, hey, we're still working on it, but this is where we're at so far. It looks really, really stupid if I don't have half those things filled out. So that's been helpful for me. So then we have again, mindset is everything. It's the most effective when you're not actively taking breaks. If you're constantly working, your mind is constantly on. It's going to affect your sleep schedule. It's going to affect your mood with people. It's going to affect the way you have conversations. It's going to affect the way you show up, right? And that's not good. Things like email, text, phone calls, they're never that life or death. Honestly, I always used to think if I don't answer this client in 5 minutes, they're going to be mad. I just got this text back. If I don't respond right away, they're going to be upset. No, most of the time they're not. It's just like they send it out and then they kind of let it go. Now, you do have occasional clients who are going to be really, really like, please send me this right away. And that's okay. But you also don't have to meet them there. You can just say like, hey, listen, I'm going to get this to you as quickly as I can, but I am working with a ton of different clients and I want to make sure that I'm making sure everyone gets responsive to. Now, obviously, don't spend like a week not responding to texts. That's not good either. But just realize it's all in your head that it's life or death. If you don't make time for life, mental health, and physical health, you're going to die early anyway. So what's the point, right? If we're focusing on all that stuff, if we're just working 24/7, all we're working towards is dying early. We don't need that, all right? We need to make sure we have time for life. We have time for play. We have time for mental health. We have time for physical health. They're all important. Again, Aaron says, it's the editing time that I'm taking too much time. I use an editor, but after several weddings, they still don't have my style down. It's so frustrating. I use Imagine AI. I trained it myself. It does take a little bit of time, but I'm telling you, it's pretty effective. I still go through and edit. Most of them are like adjust, exposure here or just a little bit of color there, but it's really, really fast for me. We can probably get a full wedding edited and set down. Really, I'd say at least the first draft within about 6 or 7 hours at the absolute most. Can be a lot less than that. It could be down to 3. It can be down to 2. It just really depends on how many photos the weddings are and how close the AI gets, because sometimes it is faster and better. Oh, it's Dana, not Aaron. All right, well, I was close. I don't know. I can't see anyone's name. So, all right. So multiple studies show that after 50-hour work, you are exponentially less productive than before 50 hours. So if you're working over 50 hours and you're not tracking that, by the way, start tracking it. If you're seeing yourself work over 50 hours and you're feeling like you're doing more, but not getting, you're not getting more done, well, then you probably need to start working a little less. Go take a walk. I remember one time I was trying to respond to everyone's comments and get everything out like almost immediately, even inside this group. And I realized I'd worked like 16 hours that day. Like I was on the phone all day. I was doing phone calls. It was on one of our launches. And Tyler actually pointed out, he's like, all right, we stop. We need to go watch fireworks. Or we need to go do something else out of the house, because he saw how overwhelmed I was getting. And it wasn't clicking with me right away. So you just got to remember that you have to have limits to these things. So get organized, be intentional with your time, and have very clear work, play, and self-care hours. You're going to find you're going to be more effective. You're going to make more money because you're more effective. Again, it's just kind of common sense. This one's big. I'm sure a lot of us have went out and bought a used car. And I want to know, do you feel like you were served or do you feel like you were sold? This is where we talk about high pressure and, oh, you have to have this or you have to have this or this warranty is really, really important. This is going to make the biggest impact in your business if you start trying to serve people instead of trying to sell people. And so serving is basically this. It's a low pressure, high value form of sales. Right? Essentially, rather than constantly pushing your clients to the highest available price, you're going to present it as an option and guide them to what makes sense, not what fits your pocketbook best. So listen, I've talked to clients and like they've been really interested in the packages, and I could have probably sold them up to like a 12-hour collection, which for me is about $16,000. But the thing is what they actually needed, because they weren't going on a crazy honeymoon. They weren't going anywhere else. They didn't need that. Okay, they weren't getting a ton of stuff that they needed. So we just modified the collection and created like a 10-hour collection that actually served them better and gave more of the things that they actually valued. And yeah, it was still a high-end sale, but they trusted me more because I didn't try and get the $16,000 out of their pocket right off the bat. Now, what's cool about that is because they trusted me, when they came back for their album sale, they upgraded everything and I ended up making more than $16,000 in the first place. It's all about how you kind of approach this. It's more like, hey, these are options and this might fit you better. Tell me what you're thinking. Rather than you got to have this. If you don't do this, if you don't book with me within 72 hours, we're going to raise the prices by 2. Don't do that. Nobody likes that. It's not going to work all the time. You're going to really just piss people off. And that's not the way you want to start a relationship out. Like, you're going to be hanging out with these people for literally a year, trying to perfect their images, trying to make sure that their family photos get done, trying to make sure that everything kind of gets connected with where it needs to be connected. And if you start your relationship off on a negative thing where you kind of have a gun to their head, they're going to remember that. They're not going to trust you as much, and they're not going to want to buy from you as much. And again, it's not just about the wedding either. The easiest person you have to sell to for another session, like a couple's night or a getaway trip, is a person you've already sold a wedding to. So don't start off your relationship trying to get as much money from them as possible right off the bat. They'll pay you later. They don't have to pay you all at once. By creating low-pressure environments and showing options, clients are going to guide themselves to the things they most value and won't hate you for selling it to them. I don't always have to push albums to people. I don't always have to say like, hey, you got to get this album because you're going to regret it if you don't. Like, a lot of times they see the value in it. They see where other clients have been, and they see the books themselves and just go, oh, I really do want to have this. This is important to me. And that's when they end up start going towards those upgrades. That's where they start doing like, oh, it would be really cool if we did have our honeymoon captured. It would be really cool if, we were able to have all these memories like cemented in, and we can explain to our families down the line, like, this is how it all started. Here's what we did in our honeymoon. Like, all those things matter. And the only way you're going to get sales from this, at least in my belief, right, is if you're serving them instead of selling them. If it works, it works. Make things happen for people. All right, let's talk about like setting some goals, but also limits. Now, here's the deal. I don't believe that anyone should be shooting, any photographer that's in a boutique environment that does not have associates, which is the kind of business model that I teach about. I don't teach associate models. I don't like associate models. You can have them. I think that's totally fine. You can probably apply a lot of the things I teach to them, but I personally don't recommend them. I think that a better version of your business is going to be you serving to the highest level, and it is your business. It is you working with them. And so for me, I don't think most photographers need to be shooting over 30 weddings in a year. Ideally, somewhere around 20 or less. Me personally, I'm only shooting 10, and I will go up to 18, but only if those extra 8 weddings are really, really interesting to me or I love their story. And it's just kind of up to my discretion if we want to go that high. But I'm really only shooting about 10 weddings a year, and it's not because I'm not getting enough leads for it. We got 244 leads last year. Again, I'm only trying to fill 10 spots. I don't need that many leads, but I do want to make sure that I'm shooting the stuff that's interesting to me, and I also want to make sure that I have enough time to teach you guys and help you guys get better and do all the things that I want to do, because weddings aren't everything for me. It's not everything I want to do. I do love them. It's still a passion of mine. But when I used to shoot 36 in a year, half the year I was exhausted and I almost never had a weekend free. But if you don't set some sort of goal, if you don't have a number, Zig Ziglar says, aim for nothing and you're going to hit it every time. If you don't want to, if you don't know how many weddings you want to hit in a month, if you don't know how many phone calls you want to have with a client every month, if you don't have some sort of number in mind for how many weddings you want to hit in a year, you're going to hit that number every time. You want to have a number. Say like 20, say like 30, say like 5. I don't care what the number is. There's no right or wrong here, but I want you to make sure you have something you're aiming at. This also is important to keep like a track of where these leads are coming from, because I don't want you spending hours and hours and hours on Instagram or on Pinterest or on a lot of different lead platforms that aren't actually creating, like they're not moving the needle at all. If you're not tracking them, you don't know. So you keep putting effort into things that aren't actually performing. For me, for example, I was really big on Facebook for a while, and I was really into Facebook and Facebook ads. And then I noticed like, oh, most of my clients aren't, I'm getting clients from this, but they're not all coming from it. A lot of my clients are coming from word of mouth, and they're coming from referrals. And a lot of them are coming from vendor recommendations. And then I started working with Google. Now I noticed that Google is where 90% of my clients come from. And that's no joke. 90% of our clients do come from Google. 90% of our leads come from Google. We still get leads from planners and referrals and vendors and venues, but the biggest thing is Google and networking and those kind of things. And so if I wasn't tracking where my leads were, I would continuously put effort into places that didn't need effort. Okay? I don't need to post every week on Instagram, because I'm going to tell you something, for weddings, it didn't do anything for me. I'm not saying that it never did. It's not like I never got a lead from it, but it was the most ineffective way to use my time. And time to me is everything. If there was one love language that I have, it is quality time. So all I was doing is sacrificing all my time for very, very little wins or gains. And so, again, how do you know when you arrive if you don't set a destination? Okay, set a number of weddings you want to take. Keep track of where the leads you book are coming from. Set a goal for how much you want to make per wedding and adjust it if you aren't hitting it. Not adjust the goal, adjust what you're doing. Adjust your pricing, adjust how you're approaching. Look for opportunities to be educated on how to hit higher price points. Now, if you're looking for education, again, my course manifest closes today at 12 p.m., the live version. If you want to know how to raise your prices, that's like the number one thing we cover. It's the number one thing. You're going to learn how to book a lot higher. You're going to learn how to get clients coming in. You're going to learn how to really start networking and creating like incredible relationships with the people that you're working with. More importantly, though, give yourself some time to refresh. If you hit your goal, take a mini vacation or a full-blown one, and then start working towards next year. You don't need to take everything that comes in just because you could get it. Sometimes it's okay to say, you know what? I already hit my goal for the year, and I've earned a vacation. I'm going to go enjoy my life for a little bit. Because when you come back from that vacation, you're going to come back better. An overworked mind, again, is one that just never achieves what it sets to do in the first place. So don't get greedy. The greedier you are this year, the more affected you're going to be next year. Again, don't sell everything. When you sell everything to everyone, you're going to sell nothing to anyone. This means this is for you photographers who are out there going like, well, I got to be a wedding photographer, a family photographer. Also, I'm going to take pictures of newborns. Sometimes I'm going to take pictures at schools, and then I might also go take pictures for sports teams. No, pick one, niche it down, master it, and then add one or two that you're really passionate about if you want to afterwards. Pick something, niche down, raise your prices, become known for it, and then you can start adding extra things. It's not like they have to completely disappear. For example, I literally just over comments from one of my past clients booked a maternity session in Arizona for fun, just for fun. I'm still getting paid, but it's just for fun. But is that something that my website hits on? No. I'm only taking it because I know that it's one before the baby comes, because that's really important for me. I don't want to take pictures of babies, but it's also important. It's something that I can just do because it is fun to show that next level of where they're at. Now, after this point, once the baby arrives, we're kind of done. That's it. There's not going to be a family session with me. But I don't have it on my website that I'm a family photographer because it's not what I want to do all the time. I'm not a maternity photographer. It's not what I want to do all the time. Now, if that is you, if you want to do something like, if you want to do something like weddings and then maternity sessions, if you want to do elopements and all that stuff, you can do all those things. I think those are great. Weddings, elopements, by the way, I think you can. That's like one where you don't have to niche down specifically. You can, and it is better, but you don't have to. If you want to do all those things, master them, and then move on to the next one and bring that into your brand. Just make sure it makes sense. Now, this is big too. There's an online study that says 70% of photographers are ignoring, like they're not blogging. 70%, meaning that you could be in the 30% that are blogging. You could be, and blogging like intentionally. We're not talking about just blogging every session you have, because I'm going to be honest with you, that shit doesn't work. It's nice. It could work. It used to work. It was an old tactic, and it used to do, but it's not what you do now. And so 70% of people are not doing this. I want to tell you, the number of photographers who aren't networking in their local areas is even higher. The number of people who are marketing towards things like vow renewals and proposals is even higher. They're not hitting these targets. And if you start going like, okay, well, what does someone need to know in order to book a vow renewal? What does someone need to know in order to have a proposal? What does someone who's trying to create or trying to propose to their partner need to know, or what would be helpful to them? If you start looking at your network and your opportunities there, you're going to get more clients. You're going to make more money. Just a fact. You're just going to make more money. And so let's talk about this. Proposals are often forgotten. Most photographers are focusing on an engagement session. If you want to hit both of them, I think you should. Right? Vow renewals are almost never explained or marketed to. That's an opportunity for you. Think about it. These are people who are so excited about the person that they married that they want to do it again. That person will spend money on photographs. That person will spend money on working with you if you hit them right, if you explain to them problems right, if you fix problems for them correctly, if you talk to them correctly. These are all opportunities. And the wonderful thing is that all photographers are primarily ignoring these things, and so you only have opportunity there. If your competition is fast on delivery, you can point out that you're detail-oriented and want to deliver quality over quantity. Yeah, I do take a long time for my photos. But you know what? That's because I'm focusing on making sure that you get everything you want and it is perfect for you, and I don't have to go back and re-edit it because I missed something. Think about your local, bigger, but not big town. So for me, this was Valparaiso, Indiana. Is it really reasonable that no one is searching for where to take photos, go to dinner, or what to do in it? It's really, really unlikely. Just because on Google it says there is no search volume doesn't mean there actually is no search volume. What's cool about this is you're going to rank for it really, really quickly, but also the people that are actually looking for that are going to hit you back very, very quickly because you're the only option. You're the only game in town. Now, does this mean that you should only write blogs like this or only write content like this or only make videos that are talking about this kind of thing? No, but it is something you don't want to ignore. Again, it's just an opportunity to make more money. And it's something that can happen really relatively fast. I mean, people talk about SEO being slow. Well, when you start looking at it from this perspective, there's a fast way to do this. There is. It doesn't have to be slow. Now, is this going to make crazy amounts of traffic to your website? No, probably not. It's not going to create huge ones. But I do get one of my blogs for my hometown that had literally no search volume at all. We get 100 plus clicks a month. I've gotten 20-ish increase from it. And the thing is that there was no search volume for it. Nobody was looking for it. Nobody, according to the tools, nobody was looking for it. But it's an opportunity. And I just said, you know what? I have all the content for it. I might as well go do it. I know enough about the town. I might as well post this up there just so that, one, I can, like, if somebody asks me where to take photos in my hometown and I don't want to go photograph there, I can send that back. I can just like, hey, here's a blog for you. But I also get the traffic and I also can see the leads come in. And if I want to take a lead at home, I can. If you think outside of the box, you're going to grow. If you hang out inside the box, you die. My belief is that people who think inside the box don't realize that the box is a coffin. Okay? When you think inside that box, you are in a coffin. Your business is getting ready to die. The second you start going, hey, I bet there's another way to think about this, that's when your business really starts to expand. That's when you really start to see more money come in. That's where you really start to see like serving over selling. That's where this all is. So if you're missing this stuff, stop. Just start focusing on it. Start thinking about it. Like, start looking for ways to learn how to do this. Again, if you want to learn how to think this way, it's really all inside of my course Manifest. It's everything. It really is everything. It's everything I wish I had in the courses when I started, and none of the fluff. We'll kind of run through that at the end. Be an asset to your community and always be curious. We kind of talked about this a little bit already, but like, let's take, for example, Facebook groups. All right. You're going to these bride groups and you have one bride who's like, okay, well, we need a photographer next month and we're looking for this, this, and this. And then you have 900 photographers commenting underneath and they all say the same dumbass thing. I would love this opportunity. Of course you would. That would pay your bills. Who wouldn't love that opportunity? The other way to do this isn't just like looking for those and trying to comment and trying to jump in and trying to do all those things. No, the opportunity for this is to educate. It's like, hey, listen, if you're looking for a wedding photographer, this is what you should be looking for. If you're looking for venues, these are my favorite venues in the area. If you're looking for how to have the best engagement session, if you're looking for what to wear to your engagement session, here's some of my recommendations, and then use your photos to kind of educate them. You become an asset, and every time you post, that person starts paying attention. Same thing, by the way, if you want to use TikTok, if you want to use Instagram Reels, and you want to use all those things, start talking about those problems that they have. Start creating like really, really good content that actually solves problems for people, and then all of a sudden you're going to be attracting people. It's really, really basic, but it's something, again, most people are ignoring. They're trying to dance to stupid trends. They're trying to just comment on whatever the easiest lead is possible, and that's just not the way to do it. And then we have this last part. Always be curious. Always be curious. This is one of those beliefs that I personally feel has always been paramount to why I've succeeded in anything I've done. I've always been looking at how do I do this a different way? Who is the expert for what it is that I'm doing? And what does it take to actually get to their level? Always, with everything I do. I mean, with education, when we started doing this group, I invested in a course, went through the course. I'm still using the course information. I'm still going through and I'm making sure that I'm putting the best effort forward so that when I am serving you guys, it's the best version of what I could be doing to serve you guys. I want to make sure that if I'm going to create this group and I'm going to be creating assets for you and I'm going to be teaching you guys on a regular basis, I want to know how to do that so that I can be the most effective at teaching you. And the same thing happens for you as photographers. Like if you want to learn album sales, listen, you got to learn how to do that from someone who actually has sold albums before. Don't just make it up or look up on YouTube or try and figure out things that might work, maybe. I want you to start focusing on things that I want you to like look for an expert. Maybe read a book about it. Maybe like Sean Gordon has a book. He's the CEO of KISS. He has a really great book that you can read. It's called The Stack. It's awesome. It's one of my favorites. You could read that book. You could take a course like Manifest that kind of runs through those things. You want to seek out experts and also other photographers who are in the trenches with you. The people who are making changes to their business right now are the people that are going to be with you in a few years. It's the ones that are like stagnant and not making changes, or the guys who come in and say, well, I've been doing this for 20 years. You don't know how to do anything new. Those are the guys that are stuck in their mindsets. Those are guys that are not making changes. So if you're not curious, you're going to end up being one of those people. Listen, I may hate Instagram right now, and I probably am going to continue that because I really do believe that platform is going to die. But here's the deal. I'm open to being wrong. Very open to being wrong. I'm very open to, well, let's see what this looks like in a few years. Maybe they make some changes. Maybe somebody else becomes like the CEO of that and it changes. Maybe the way that I'm currently doing blogs gets modified because I learned something else from someone else. I am always open to being wrong, and you have to be that way in this business. There's this idea, right, in our heads that the expert is the person that knows everything. No, the expert is the one that asks fucking questions. That's the expert. Because that's the person who's looking to better themselves on a consistent basis, who's looking to create something on a consistent basis, who is open to change. Because this business will change. The way you shoot will change. The way you interact with people will change. And if you start jumping towards something, like being uncomfortable, like, listen, I used to hate jumping in front of crowds of people and talking. I used to hate going to networking events. Once I started opening myself up to the possibility that that's exactly what I needed is when I started making big changes. That's when we started getting into, oh, well, now we're getting $10,000 weddings. Now we're in a book. Now we're doing all these things that I've always wanted to do. Now I'm getting to talk to the clients that I've always wanted to talk with. It took years of learning and being open and being honest and working with people like Ben Hartley and working with people like Ben Adams and Jeff Armstrong and like all the other educators that I've met over the years that have really helped solidify where my knowledge has come from and then allowed me to create a platform kind of my own version of it. And that's why you see in the course, like a lot of the interviews we've done this week, we've done 3 interviews with my students. We're constantly adding stuff in. We're constantly trying new things. I'm using my website to experiment for you guys so that you can learn what I'm doing and what could be working for you next. Staying curious is the way you move forward in life. It's the way you're going to move forward in your revenue. So if there was one thing I'd recommend right off the bat, start being curious. Start looking for different opportunities. Stop trying to do the same shit over and over and over and over again without seeing any sort of like change. I don't want you to be sitting next year looking at your past year going like, man, I was really frustrated in 2022. I'm going to do the exact same shit again so I can be frustrated this year. You're going to lose your passion. You're going to lose it. It's going to be gone. That's not okay. That's not a good thing. So if there's one thing I'd recommend, if you're not even slightly on the fence, if you're even slightly going, you know what? I want to do better next year. If that's even slightly true, please, by all means, reach out to me. Let's schedule a call. And literally, if you're not a good fit for our program, if you're not a good fit for Manifest, if I don't think like I can help you, if I don't think you're in a position where this is going to be the best program for you, I'm not going to sell it to you. We're only like, it's very limited. We have 8 photographers in each live group. That's it. And then we have the video course, which you're on your own for. Like there's a course community, but like the live groups is only 8 photographers. Those are the photographers that are looking for the biggest changes. If it's not a good fit for you, if it's going to put you in financial stress, if it's going to hurt you in any way, I'm not going to let you buy it. I want to say that again. I'm not going to let you buy it if I don't think it's a good fit for you. I want to make sure that you're able to commit some time to it. You're able to jump into it and actually make changes, and you're willing and able to change, because if you're not, then I'm just taking money from you, and that's not what it's about. It's about making changes. And so here's some things that are inside the course that I actually think are great. They're probably some of my favorite things that we've kind of included in here. I don't want to show Keynote. I want to show Google Chrome, and this is the course, okay? This is the back end of the course. Now, this is the video version, okay? But I want you to just kind of see here. There are literally 87 different videos and a few more being added when we finish up the blogging workshop to talk about how to get in front of those vow renewal couples, how to get in front of those proposal couples, how to get in front of people who want to go on like cruise ships for their weddings. The first week is all about your dream clients. It's all about the people that you want to talk to. It's all about the things that you need in your business. the website, the communication. There's homework here that's going to tell you, like, look at this. This is one of my favorite pieces of homework. So this is called 50 Reasons to Hire You. This is where you're going to sit down and go, like, what actually makes me stand out as a photographer? What actually is the difference maker here? Why would somebody hire me? And what's going to happen is you're going to write this out and you're going to talk to your clients. Your clients are going to give you feedback, and then you're going to start changing these answers. And all of a sudden, you're going to have this perfect copy that specifically speaks to the problems that somebody is worried about when they're booking a wedding photographer. Your specific dream client. It's important. We have a homepage content builder, so your homepage gets better. It explains how to use an experience page and what the thought process is behind there. It even tells you how to use calls to action so you get more inquiries. Pricing psychology is the next module that comes through. We go through literally everything inside of here. Album system questions from students. We have base experiences, luxury experiences. So that luxury experiences, like what we call an anchor collection. If you listen to Nicole this week, she sold one of those at $15,000. One wedding, $15,000. The only difference between you and Nicole is that Nicole's done the work and really, really put her heart into it. You can do that too. Everybody in this group is capable of doing this. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, please, by all means, again, reach out. Just type reach out in the comments. I'll send you a DM and we'll go on a phone call. And again, if it's not a good fit, I'm going to point you in the direction of something that is. If it's not a good fit for you and you're not interested at all, there's no harm, no foul. I'm just going to give you some free advice. That's it. There's no like pressures. There's no pressure to do anything. I just want to make sure anybody who's actually ready to make a change has that ability. But just, looking through this, there's a lot of stuff you can learn in here. We go through my consultation process, my closing process, my ejection process, the inquiry to consult process, how to click with people, even more homework here, leads on autopilot. These are all the things that we talk about. We talk about these live too. Really, like look at these templates: blogging template, engagement roundup, proposal ideas, top 10 venues, single venue, vendor blogs. There's more being added all the time. We're always experimenting things, and you get live Zoom calls inside of the private course group where even if you took the course 6 months ago, you're going to be able to jump on those new calls and get the new information right off the bat. Nobody else is doing that. So this is my final, this is it. We're closing tonight at midnight. I'm not planning on coming back up here for live later on today. I'm not going to be opening it up again for a very long time. This is the last time in 2023 to come hang out with us. And if you are thinking even slightly that this is a great fit for you, I want to encourage you, reach out to me, reach out to Tyler, just get on the phone before the opportunity is gone. Because I'm telling you something right now. I know what the value of this course is. It's going to be more expensive next time it comes back out, especially the live version. Because everyone who's coming through is getting results. And I can really only divvy up my attention so much. And I want to make sure that everyone's getting this next level of connection and this next level of like making sure you're hitting your goals. I want to make sure you have that because you deserve it. You're investing, you're learning, you're trying to change, and I want to make sure you feel supported when you do that. So with that said, I have been me, you have been you, and this has been The Live. I cannot wait to talk to you guys again next week. We're going to get back into just regular stuff, no more promos at this point. But I really hope to see a bunch of you in that course. I really hope to see you make changes and live a better life and really set forward the things that you want to set forward. If you have a future worth having, if you have a future that's in your head, you're just like, man, I got to get to this. Please reach out. I want to see you succeed. Everyone in the group community also wants to see you succeed. That's the really special thing about that private course community. There's nobody here against you. Okay, there's photographers that are in my backyard that I'm selling to. There's people who live down the street from me that we're talking about getting into the course. This is for you. This is for any photographer that wants growth, and that community's going to be there as your backbone. You're going to make friends. You're going to make money. You're going to make friends. It's all good. Anyhow, again, I've been me. You've been you. This has been Live. See you next week.